Hey, it's Coach Natalie. So, entering your 50s, okay, does not have to mean that you have to slow down. If you've ever thought that, heard that, I want you to say, no, that is not me. Because entering your 50s is a wonderful time for you to redefine what health and wellness looks like, redefine what success looks like, reinvent yourself so that you can thrive in your 50s and beyond. And today I want to talk about health and wellness. How do we create greater health, better health in our 50s so that we feel like it is the best decades of our lives? Now, you may not be in your 50s, but you're close to it, either 30s and 40s or your 60s and your 70s. Wherever you are, today's conversation is just for you. And I have two very special guests that I want to bring to the stage that are going to help me to have this conversation. It's just not me today. I brought my friends Tanisha and Tabitha. Hey y'all, how you doing? Yay!
Great, great.
I am so glad that y'all are here because for the audience, for those of us who are becoming unstoppable, these women are part of our community that are going to teach us how to be healthier, and not just healthier as part of physical health, but that well-being, that holistic health, because that's what we're all searching for. Let's just be honest, right? I want to be healthy financially. I want to be healthy in my relationships with my family and with myself. And I want to have a healthy body and a healthy mind, all that good stuff. So today, let's dive into it about how to create a healthier you in your 50s and beyond. So I'm going to introduce my friends Tanisha and Tabitha, whichever one of you want to go first. Let's think it. Let's go alphabetically. So Tabitha, let's go. About you and what does it mean to be healthier in our 50s and beyond as you introduce yourself?
All right. So I'm Tabitha Stevens, and I am a 55 plus.
I
I,
like
I
that.
want to speak to that first. I'm a 55 plus and proud of it. Amen. And proud
Mhm,
of it. So,
mhm.
what does it mean to be well in our 50s? It means to keep going,
Keep going. Mm.
going. Wherever you thought that you may have made falls and failures and you didn't reach the goal that you thought you were going to meet, who said there was a timeline? The Father that we serve never told us that there was a timeline for this,
I love
right?
that.
And one of the things when I very first started my wellness not just the wellness part, but the fitness component of my overall program, right? So when I started that, I was in my late 40s and I was on a treadmill. And the story goes, I was on a treadmill and I'm running for a marathon. And I was like, the Lord began to speak to me, goes, I want you to begin a fitness program for believers. And I'm like, but I'm in my late 40s, Father. He
Mhm,
goes, I did it for Sarah. You're able. And
mhm,
oh, I'm like, you want Sarah on me? And he says, yes, I did. And
mhm,
ever since that, I hold on to what he did for Sarah and Abraham, where
mm,
Sarah thought she was way too old.
mm.
Every person that when you really begin to look in the Bible, there's never that time where it says you're too old to do a thing. That's what the world wants us to believe. And quite honestly, it's a full distraction because if we get caught in that part of it to say I'm too old to begin to move, I'm too old to make new changes, I'm too old, I'm like all of those too olds is automatically limiting the great expectations that are before us.
Absolutely.
And soon,
Absolutely.
and soon as we start taking those away, now you really see what your full potential is and what you really can do. So it's like, for me, it's taking away those distractions and knowing that God created us to do all these things in abundant position with no timeline.
Absolutely. I love that, Tabitha. No
Yes.
timeline. Let's really stress that because I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have in our 50s. We think we're getting older and
Mhm.
things have to happen or things have to slow down or we're limited because now I'm in my 50s or 60s or 70s and I can't do that. But what I've learned since starting this community, becoming unstoppable, there are women in their 60s who are going back to get their PhD. There's also women in their 60s going back to get what? Wait for it, their GED. I'm like, yes,
Yes.
you are
Yes.
unstoppable. There is no timeline. Whatever the goal or the dream is, go for it.
Go
and
for it.
get rid of the distractions. And you brought up something, then Tanisha, you next. Hold on.
Okay.
You brought up something about the two olds. The two olds. Like, right, you too old to do what? No. Sarah is a great example for those of you who don't know Sarah. Sarah is in the Bible. Abraham and Sarah had a, wait for it, a baby. What?
Right.
How old was Sarah?
But
100. She, however old she was, the point is the Most High did not limit her. There was no timeline. Hallelujah. Go ahead.
you know what I love about the story about Sarah, and this is very true for this very exact topic, becoming unstoppable. You have a desire. We
Mhm.
have that piercing desire of something that we want, something that we've been longing for. Don't give up on it.
Mm-mm.
The timeline is not over. Sarah longed for that child years upon years upon years upon years, and she waited fervently.
Mhm.
She waited so long that she thought she had given up hope and she thought that it was not going to come to pass. How many times do we do that? How many times do we be like, oh, okay, well, I'm waiting. I've been trying to lose weight. This just ain't going to happen. I've been trying to get that point of education. It's just not going to happen. I've been trying to get through this marriage. It's just not going to happen for me.
Too
I
many times to count. Too many times to count.
Too many times, and too many times we say, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too old,
Mhm.
I'm too. All them twos is all distractions
Mhm.
because it is possible. Let us begin to release that timeline off of ourselves and off of our mindset.
Yeah.
Very important. If we release that mindset off of our mindset, it opens up our heart posture to say yes.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
Open up our heart posture to say yes. Now we have that anchor of
Yeah.
endurance and that anchor of that, and that your heart posture doesn't have anything to do with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Is you.
It
Your
is.
heart posture is just you. So once you get your heart posture right and take that limited mindset right here and
Mhm.
let it expand. I encourage
Absolutely.
you, ladies, just let it expand and open up your heart.
I
So
love
Yeah.
it.
that's my talk on that side.
Well, we need to drop the mic on that. Like,
Yeah.
you are spot on. And I hope that people walk away understanding that the only limitation is the one that we put on ourselves. So thank you, Tabitha, for getting us started. Tanisha, how you gonna come? What's your
Yes, how I'm going to come because I just entered into the 50 decade this year. So I belong here too. I belong here too as well. But my speak, when I think about this particular question, I always go to the space of like prepare the way. So
Mm,
now we're looking at ourselves and we're saying that we're in this 50 decade.
mhm,
Prepare the way. And we're talking about biblical historical people in our lives that we live, for example, and John the Baptist. When he came, he prepared the way for Jesus. So
mhm.
we are hot stuff in our 50s, but we still got to remember that we got to prepare the way for a greater generation. So I look at 50s in the way of saying that it's my time to prepare the way for the next generation of unstoppables.
Mhm.
So now that gives me a responsibility. There's a certain way I need to look, certain way that I need to be as the model to say, what does it look like? When John the Baptist came, he said, y'all, I'm doing some amazing stuff, but the one that's coming after me, watch out.
Watch
And
out.
so that's what unstoppable means. We're preparing the way for the next generation. We're looking forward and we're creating that example in ourselves to say, you know what, when I turn 50, best believe I'm following what so-and-so did because that's our example. And
Yeah.
that now gives us that drive and that purpose that is not about just us, but
Mhm.
it's about preparing the way for
Yeah.
that next generation. And then that's when we get generational legacy and wellness because now we're not being selfish. Because, you know, sometimes in this decade, people don't be wanting to prepare the way. They're like, oh no, they'll just find it their way or they'll learn the hard way. But that's not our mission. That's not our assignment. Our assignment is to prepare the way. So that is what I think in the 50s, if you redirect your purpose or you redefine, who are you preparing the way for? And your life becomes the example of, wait a minute. this person really has what it takes, but I can take it a step further because John the Baptist was just paving the way for someone much greater.
I love that. Thank you for bringing that energy because it is so very important that we be the example.
Mm-hmm.
Because there may be someone who doesn't have an example who look like them, who is successful in that area, but it is our responsibility, I think, to show up in a way that helps people say, hey, come on, follow me. I know a little bit. I'm just 2 or 3 steps ahead, and that's fine. And
Mm-hmm.
I can help you get unstuck. And that's the whole mission that we're on, is helping people understand that you may have been stuck, but you don't have to stay stuck.
Mm-hmm.
That there's ways to get unstuck and gain that momentum and become unstoppable when it comes to your health. I know that we live in a society where we talk about chronic disease,
Mm.
stuff, chronic, high blood pressure, chronic back pain, heart disease, hypertension, high cholesterol, obesity, all those things. Those are labels that we don't want to accept. And we
Mm.
have to say, no, I don't have that. I have the power to redefine, restore my health. I have the power to overcome all of that. But if people aren't told that, then
Mhm.
how do they know it?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because society says when you get older, you're going to have this. Wait a minute. Who is society to tell me what's going to happen in my life? No, doggone it. I am going to take back that power. Right? And so let's talk about some misconceptions that we hear and that we may believe that it happens as we get older. Let's talk about that. Who wants to jump in? Because I think it's Tabitha. I knew she was going. I knew she was going to put her finger up or raise her hand because that's
Yeah.
a
I'm gonna take what's going on. I'm gonna put my finger up. One of the misconceptions is that we do not need to move,
mm,
do not need to work out, that we can navigate a healthy life without movement.
who says that?
Mm-hmm.
Many people, like you, the healthcare industry, you get all these ebbs and flows of what's current. You don't need to work out to lose weight. You only need to do this. You only need to carry this type of diet. If you have the blood based dietary plan, if you got the keto dietary plan, all of these different things, and many of these spaces will kind of say, well, this is all you need. That is not all you need.
Mhm,
We need to move our bodies daily.
mhm, mhm,
And there's no age. There is, again, we're at that timeline. It's even more vital in the timeline because when we move our bodies, it opens up the hormones that we need, that's going to anchor our bodies to wellness.
mhm,
I mean, and in all of my speaks, I like to make things very plain. Sometimes again, let me go back a little bit. I have 30 years in the healthcare industry. Let me go back a little bit. So I have 30 years in the healthcare industry. I have done health coaching, and all these various components of well-being. So well-being is my passion. That's my passion point. Um, and when I watched the disparities, that was one of the things that, from client to client, from patient to patient, many, I won't say all, but a great percentage of them never had consistent movement.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in the realms of the high blood pressure, the diabetes, facing strokes, facing health issues because of the lack of movement. Our bodies are required. God designed our bodies for movement. So one myth, if you think I don't need to move because for whatever reason, I'm young, I don't need to move. I don't have to work out. I don't need to place this movement in my life. I'm too old. My hips hurt. My knee hurt. Um, I think of it like this, and I'm gonna let it move forward. We can get up, we can go to the grocery store, we can get up and go and get in our car, we can go to church, we can get up and go visit our friends and have lunch. You have the ability to move. I encourage you again to move your body, even in your home. If you're not comfortable getting out, move your body in your home.
mhm.
There's chair exercises. You can walk up and down the basement steps. You can just walk in a circle. Walk in a circle for 45 minutes in your home. Walk in a circle for 30 minutes in your home. But not moving and being stagnated will keep you in a box and keep your health, keep you attached to anything that can now come right where you're at and cause even more traumatic situations for your life because we're not moving and we're not opening up the hormones that we need to open up the mindset, open up the vessels and structures in our bodies. It's necessary, it's vital. So that's one for me, is that fitness. We got to move.
Yeah.
And it's not moving. It's not moving if you want to lose weight. We just need to move.
And you know what? That's a really good one to start with, because some people do complain of like chronic pain. They've got arthritis in their knee or they got back pain, and it really does hurt them to move. But it's also important to understand is that a little bit of movement will start the blood flowing, will actually change the whole energy and the mindset, and you start to feel better. So even if it's not, what they say, 10,000 steps a day, even if it's 500 steps a day, even if it's 1,000 steps a day, the more you move, the better you will feel. And so, Tabitha, how do I, if I'm one of those people who are limited with my activity,
Yeah.
how do I even get started? Because what I do know is that what I do in my younger days, in my 30s and my 40s, will impact where I am in my 50s and beyond. And so I want to start. So it's never too late to start, but how does one start?
One excellent way to start is turn the radio on, turn music on that is inspirational for you. Turn music on that's inspirational for you. If you are in my studio in Ohio, if you are in a chair, you can work out right in your chair. Just sit there and just lift your legs up. Right? Just lift your legs up, push your arms out. That getting your arms above your heart level will automatically begin to increase your cardiovascular flow. You sit there and I'm just lifting up my feet. If you're just sitting here watching your program and you're listening to whatever inspirational, not get your mind going, just inspirational, let it touch your heart. And you do this simple movement. And again, you can advance it from there. So I like to take it from this situation all the way up. You can walk around your house. Next step, take it outside. Walk down your street. If you're not comfortable with that, go to your favorite mall. Take a walk. You don't have to buy nothing. Just take a walk and spend quiet time. Another good option is to plug yourself in. So put your audibles in. So you can put your earplugs in so you're drowning out any other distractions so that you are staying focused into those next 30 minutes that you're giving yourself. And know as you're doing it, say, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
Doing this for me. I'm going to be a better me all the way around, no matter what I do. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to do this for me.
And you know what? Thank you for saying that, because here's the thing that I know about us in our 50s. And as women, we put everybody else before us. We put our spouse, our children, our moms, our siblings, everybody, even our jobs. We will take time to take care of ourselves. So I'm glad you said that. This is a simple way to get started and break that myth down that it's too late. It's never too late. And it's not too hard, because what you just showed was we sitting in a chair, moving our arms, moving our legs, walking around, being intentional about taking care of our bodies. Thank you for breaking that down, because I think that's the biggest misconception, is that we can't move or that we don't have to move. But what we do now will impact us later in life. So if you are in your 40s and your 50s and you want to be healthier in your 60s and your 70s, it starts now.
Yeah. Make yourself a priority in your life.
Yeah. And if you are in your 70s and you want to, you still start now so you can be good in your 80s and your 90s, because you know you're going to live until your 80s and your 90s, because you're making a mindset and you're being intentional about taking back the power and reinvesting in your health. Okay. So that's one misconception. Tanisha, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I have one to add. So I would say one is this body comparison of what does 50 look like? You
Tell
know,
us.
like what, because we get in that space of that we're comparing and we're looking at other people and, and this is what is really affecting some of our things when we say this is just more than just the mental space. This is the psychological and stuff. So when we start going into at 50s, like, wow, my body is doing some different things and it may do some different things. But now we can start controlling and taking control in that mental space to say, okay, now I need to do some different things. Even though I know that numbers are not chronologically associated, because I don't think your body knows that you're this age. It doesn't really mimic and say, oh, wait a minute, she turned 50. It knows by what we do, what we put in it, how we eat, how we move. So I think when we get into the misconception of what does that body look like? What does it supposed to? Or if we start looking at our latter years or our prior years, and it's like, oh, in my 20s or 30s, I was this, or I was not that. So I believe one of the misconceptions or one of the things that is a challenge is really what does age look like? Who has really defined that, because some of people say, well, you should really start gaining weight. You're getting older, your metabolism and all these things that are very scientific. But there are, and they're true to a point because they're part of the aging process. But if we want to redefine, we got to now start and look and say, okay, is my stomach or is these hips or this going on with me because I'm eating bonbons and I had 3 pints of ice cream this week and I had some other factors.
Right.
Not that I'm old, because if there was veggies and some fruits and we X'd out some of that, then my body would do a little different things. So I think that is one of the big things is that we have to take ownership of what we're putting in to also get what we want. What do we want that outcome? And then not to compare. And when I said body comparison, not necessarily comparing to other people, comparing in our life journey. At 30, I look like this or I fit these pants. And now, because that does cause those emotional triggers. Depression. Wow, when I was 30, I could, or with that, because sometimes in your older ages, you may have smaller frames and body things saying, you could eat everything and, you looked and weight would just fall off. And now that's not the case. So I think one of the misconceptions or whatever is that there is a certain look at a certain age.
Good point.
And that can't be the driver that start messing with some of the other parts of our life when we may not look like that image or images from the past that were us. We have to redefine and say, you know what, this is what 50 looks like now. So I'm not going to look at my 20 or my 30. I'm going to live in, as we say in one of our segments, this day. I'm going to look at this day. This is what I look like right now. Let me redefine that. And not stay in that body comparison of those other past situations or past lives that we have just with us.
That is spot
Excellent.
on. Because, and it's not about comparing to the other person. You are absolutely spot on. It's about me looking at that picture of what I look like before I had my daughter. Before I had my daughter, and I'm trying to get back to that. Like, where is that girl? I said that. Where is that girl? Because I want to look like her. And I'm like, I don't look like her. Or my hair used to be real black, right? Now I'm trying to hide my gray because I'm trying to look like I used to look back in the day. But we have to embrace who we are now.
Yes.
And that's the whole point about being in our 50s. It's empowering, first of all.
Yes.
It's empowering because I get to say, you know what, doggone it, it's my time. I get to define what I look like, how I feel, what success is. I get to reinvent myself, right? Because think about it. We've had a lot of life experiences, right? And now we're at this point where we're saying, okay, what have I learned? Who am I today? And how am I going to keep moving forward without comparing myself to you? Because I can sit here and compare myself to you, Tabitha, to you, Tanisha, or to anybody else, or compare myself to who I was 20 years ago, and just embody and embrace who I am today, because I get to decide what it is moving forward. Tabitha.
Things I want to share when you were speaking with that is that the women that are in their 50s now, or in that bridge of being 50 now, is very, very different than women who were, let's say, 50, 20, 30 years ago.
True.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very different. The 50s of any woman that's 50s today, we have, I have believe I have to say it this way. We were positioned in family in many different ways to be in conformity. And I feel that that is why we are so adamant about breaking away from that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We conform in many different aspects of our life in those decades. And I can't count the 1 to 10, because those not knowing years, you're not in control of yourself. And from the 1 to 10, but from the 10 to 20, that's where we began to have the choice to make decisions. But we got bound in a space of conformity. And now we're in that bridge to say, who am I? And I know many, many women that I've spoken with. Now they're at the point, it's like, wait a minute. I don't even know that I really didn't like chicken. I don't even know that I don't like the color red. This is kind of what, in this family line or generational habits and things that now this has cultivated who I am.
Yeah.
And now I'm taking on the fact of who am I? Right. So when I think about my grandmother and them, they came from a different era of time where they weren't pressing, not many of them were pressing in the directions that we're pressing in. We all have been corporate women and still are, right?
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother wasn't a corporate woman. And she didn't have that mantle for herself. She didn't have to navigate through those things. But for the women that are 50 today, we have worked, raised our children, been married, educated ourselves, either before, after, and or doing the process,
Right.
right? So we have had multiple layers for an exorbitant amount of a great portion of our lives.
Mhm.
And now we're like, whoa, we don't want life to pass us by. And that's the only thing that we have as an identifier for ourselves. And we definitely can look to the younger generation that's coming in behind us. We all know they have a different perspective and they have a
Absolutely.
different flow,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. And they are coming into that stronger sense of, I'm not going to let all these things define me. I'm going
Right.
to, I have loyalty to me, and I'm going to navigate my life according to that. So for our generation, we're a beautiful generation that is like, we're like, nope, let's open up the gates and open up ourselves for what God has for our next position. Where, like you say, that's why we get to make these choices.
Yes, and you're spot on with that. And I think that happens with every generation.
Mm-hmm.
Every generation looks at the generation before and say, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that way," right? So every generation, I think, evolves. And you're right about how we, born in the '70s, we're different. We
Yeah.
had a different perspective, but those people who were born in the '80s and the '90s are going to bring their perspective, and it's going to be different for them. And I think those women who are not in their 50s, who are watching this and listening, and who are part of this community, are seeing, what do I need to do
Mm-hmm.
in order to make certain that I'm thriving no
Mm-hmm.
matter what my age is. And Tanisha, I like how you said, age is really just a number. Your body doesn't know that
Mm-hmm.
it's been 50 plus years. But
Mm-hmm.
if you keep saying, oh, I'm 55 and I'm old, oh, I'm 64 and it's too late, then your body is going to follow your mind, right? The mind gives the body the instructions. But if you say, hey, I am 50 and I am unstoppable, or I'm 38 and I'm 78, whatever it is, but if you have that mindset that you are unstoppable, that you can learn anything, that you can overcome anything, that you are victorious, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? The body is going to follow. Like today, I didn't feel like getting up. Let's just keep it. I got this interview. Let me get it together. And I knew that if I kept saying, I don't feel like getting up, I don't feel like getting up, then guess what? I was going to be dragging. So I put in my AirPods and listened to my declarations that I have that says I'm unstoppable. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to my prayers, and now I'm what? Feeding my mind so that my body follows. Here's the thing I need us to understand. We are powerful beyond belief.
Yes.
Yes.
We are made in the Father's image.
Mhm.
There isn't anything that we cannot do. I firmly believe that. I believe we have limitless potential.
Yes.
We have divine power, and we can all walk in our purpose. And that is our life's goal, mission, to examine that life through all of that. Never think that we are limited. Examine life through those 3 P's, that you've got limitless potential, divine power, and you can walk in your purpose. And that's what makes you become unstoppable. Okay. What I know for sure is that I can talk to y'all forever. I'm gonna have to bring that on because you're dropping some wisdom that we need to hear. And I want the people who are watching this to understand that we have a community of people who are here to support you, that you don't ever have to feel stuck or alone. And you don't ever have to feel what Tabitha says, it's never too late. Get rid of those limited beliefs. I call them the limited BS. Get rid of that because you have this entire life to live, and it's time for you to pivot and take back your power so that you become unstoppable. Now, these lovely ladies, they have an event that's coming up, and this is a way to connect. This is a way to learn even more from them. And I want to bring up the flyer for the event that's coming up. It's called Overcome the Root. It's a wellness seminar, and it is happening this Saturday. Yes, I don't know when you're watching this or when you will watch it, but it is happening on Saturday, October 5th. And I'm going to shift it to Tabitha and Tanisha if you want to share more about what is expected and where did this come from? Why are we having this wellness seminar?
Tanisha, I'm gonna let you start.
Okay. So we are having this wellness seminar. The Firm Foundation actually came from a place where we're talking about wealth and wellness. So as most people know, I am in the financial space. So I covered the part of the wealth journey. But this time, because we really pray and we ask the Lord, what is the direction? What should we do? We wanted to focus completely on the wellness topic. So the wellness topic is going to be about how do we get our generation, our families. Like I said before, this is not just about us. And as we come together as a family and we pass legacy in our wellness, it can also produce wealth for us. They're interchangeable. So this Saturday, we are inviting you to come out so that we can actually find out what is the root of why we go through these cycles. What are we doing, not just surface level, but where do we get these mindsets? Where do we get these behavior sets that are rooted, that we're actually firm foundation in some things that we may need to pluck up and recorrect or redirect? Or for some, it may be the starting of the foundation. For our younger generations, you may listen to this and say, you know what, I hear what they're saying. And now I have the ability now to start at ground level and start creating the foundation that I want in my wellness journey. So this is what it is. It's coming together, really being able to learn, to be educated, to be empowered on how to be well within yourself on that personal journey that you have.
I love that. And I love the fact that it is virtual and in person, right? So even if you're not in the Cleveland area, you can tap into this and be able to interact with your audience, interact with the speaker. So that is wonderful. Tabitha, you want to add anything? Because I know it's your spot.
I think Tanisha really summed it up, and I just love how the divine conversation has come about, pulling things up, and that's why it was titled Overcome the Root. The root is what keeps us stuck. We often talk about being stuck and stuck and stuck. You're stuck because you're anchored. Those roots are anchored, and that's why you can't move. And that's why it's important for us to literally get down in the inside of us and pull those roots up.
Absolutely.
And that's what keeps us stuck. We're stuck because we're anchored in the roots of all of those previous habits, all those previous experiences, all of those previous journeys. And a root doesn't have just one vein. It has multiple, it's multifaceted. And that root, because it's multifaceted, anchors us. And that is literally why we feel stuck. And that's why we have to do the work to get. You're not going to get unstuck just by getting unstuck. That doesn't work that way. We have to learn to invoke our power. That's very key. We have to understand that we have the power to make the shift. And that is what you're going to receive from the seminar. You're going to get the tools, the actual tools to get you not unstuck, but pull up your root.
I love it.
You're going to get the tools to get in there and dig into your spirit and your soul to get the tools that you need to say, you don't want to replant, because if you replant, you don't know what soil you're going onto. So we got to
Mhm.
find some new soil. We got to find a new house to house so that we can get on fertile ground and that we can begin to produce where we have the fruit of life that we know that we're supposed to have, that we're expecting to have in this new position. And obviously, you're never too old. It's never too late.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
That's
that is what you will receive from this seminar. So we are excited. And again, if you can't come out, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Just
Mhm.
let the information go forth, because every person that we're connected to, like we're saying, we're a light in their path. So
Yes.
they see our example of life. So
yeah.
even if you're giving, they'll realize that you're a giver, and then they
Mhm.
too will learn how to give.
Yes.
So, that's many of the folds of what the Firm Foundation is about. It's not one facet, because life is multifaceted.
Absolutely.
The foundation
Absolutely.
that we look to build.
And I just want to add this. Also, you get to come and have a lot of fun. Because sometimes when people hear seminars, they're like, oh, they hear college campus, but you are going to have a lot of fun. We're going to laugh. We're going to just have a spirit of joy in the atmosphere. We want you to come and like be able to put your hair down, put your sleeves, just really enjoy the moment. I believe that, when we're educating, it does not have to be serious. It doesn't have to be where you're just like, oh, this is a time to, like we said, redefine. Education can be fun. Education can be stimulating and joy and peace. And we can be laughing and having a good time. But at the same time, we're getting that wealth of information deposit. We got a good deposit. So I want everybody to know, when you come, you're going to feel good. We're gonna bring the feel good to you while you're unrooting. You doing that dirty work, but you're gonna feel good. You're gonna be smiling at that next person said, I know I need to change this thing, but I can do this in a spirit of joy. I can do this knowing that now I have found where the problem is, where the root is, and let's collectively come together and let's have a good time in doing that. So that's just kind of my vibe. I always got to tell people, if you're in a space with me, with the Firm Foundation, you're going to have fun. You're going to laugh, and you're going to come and walk away with being imparted with not just some knowledge, but also some life-changing experiences. And that is our part. That's our caring to you, is that when you come, I'm not going to say that you're going to walk away not the same, because we kind of say those things over and over, but you're going to be able to pull something that you can say, you know what, I can take this on for myself. I can take this for a future generation, or I can go back home and tell that past generation, you know what, we've been doing some things wrong and we need to probably change this generational cycle. So we want you to come and get what you need so that you can make a difference in your life and the lives of others.
Absolutely. I love it. And what you said is about community, because we don't have to make these changes alone. That's
No.
what you're doing. You're building a community. And many times we think it's our own, like it's a unique problem. Like no one else is experiencing this, or no one has
Mhm.
experienced it. I'm all alone in this. And it's not true. So what you're saying is come together, find some other like-minded women who are in the same boat, and
Mhm.
we are working together to reinvent ourselves, redefine success, and rediscover who we really are, who we are meant
Mhm.
to be. And so
Mhm.
thank you both for saying yes to the assignment, right? Fighting through the fear, the logistics. It takes a lot to put on an event. It takes a lot, but you said yes to it, and I'm so grateful. And I hope that people can take advantage of it and make certain that they can connect with you, because you both provided such wonderful pearls of wisdom. And we didn't have enough time to really dig in deeper. So we're gonna come back and continue this conversation, because it's been very fruitful for me.
Mhm.
And I'll share very transparently. A year ago in February, I had a stroke, and that stroke was a wake up call for me. And I'm just gonna put my age out there. I was 52 when I had my stroke.
Mhm.
No, I wasn't. Yes, I was. I was 50 when I had my stroke. I had to leave my house. Or 53, one of them ages. I had my stroke, and it just turned my life upside down. It was
Mhm.
like, this cannot be happening. And the reason I share that is because you never think something's going to happen to you.
Mhm.
And then it does. And it's a wake up call. And that's how I started becoming unstoppable because I was bound to fear. That was my core issue,
Mhm.
fear and
Mhm.
doubt and thinking, yes, here it is, Tabitha, that it was too late. But the reality is the Most High was like, no, it's not. No, no,
Yeah.
no. Let me tap you on your shoulder and turn your world upside down. And then you'll learn how to become
Mhm.
unstoppable. So I'm saying that to whoever's watching this. It's never too late for you to pursue your dreams, and you are not alone. And I don't want you to have this tap on the shoulder, this big wake up call because you were afraid to take that step.
Yeah.
Tanisha and Tabitha have shown us that we are not alone on this journey, and they're providing an opportunity for you to say yes to yourself. You and your 50s, doggone it, or close to it. When do you say yes to you? When,
Yes.
when do we give ourselves permission to
Come
say,
on.
yes, here it is. I am taking life by the whole, and I am about to thrive and succeed and redefine
Mhm.
what life looks like for me.
Yeah.
Right? So be encouraged. Who is
Yeah.
ever watching this, we love you. We thank you, Tanisha and Tabitha. Thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
to this
Thank
invitation.
you.
Thank
And
you.
so grateful to have y'all here. And so I am going to sign off. Thank you so much for watching. Continue putting in the comments, what do you want in your fifth decade? How are you going to reinvent yourself? What is the one thing that you're going to start doing so that you thrive in your 50s and beyond? I'm Coach Natalie. I pray this blessed you, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Be blessed.